This is Strengths-Based Radio, promoting recovery and well-being through podcasts about mental health. Welcome back to the Strengths-Based Radio series on Zen Buddhism and mindfulness. I'm Josh Kurz-Burchard. We are back for more on Zen and mindfulness with Peter Taylor. Peter is the author of Smell the Coffee and Wake Up and the blog zenmister.com. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Josh.
Today we are going to talk about your essay, Hosting Sadness, which is from your first chapter called Suffering. First, Peter, would you read the chapter for us?
Yes, here it is. Hosting sadness. Sadness is a difficult emotion to endure. The longer it lingers, the harder things get. If you or somebody you spend a lot of time with is sad, it is something that you need to address. If somebody near you is sad, there's little you can do to change their mood. You can be aware of their mood and try not to expect happiness from them. You don't need to induce happiness in them because that could just frustrate you both. If you are the one who is sad, then the same applies. Recognize your sadness and don't expect anything else. This doesn't mean that you resign yourself to a life of sadness. This means that you acknowledge your current experience of sadness, excuse yourself from being happy for as long as it takes. Then, spend quality time with your sadness. If you're planning on spending a lot of time with your sadness, you can give it a name. You can call it depression, heartbreak, or loneliness. You can call it Tristan or Sadie or Winifred. You can call it sir or ma'am or teacher. When you give it a name, you will see your sadness as a visitor, a guest of your psyche. You can treat it with respect and courtesy. Take your sadness out for a walk. Don't expect it to get lost on the way. Just walk with it. Look at the world with it. If you see beauty on your walk, don't expect the beauty to make you happy or give you a breath. It's just beauty seen with sadness. If some laugh, that will not be offensive to you. That will just be funniness mixed with sadness. If you're going out with friends, you don't need to introduce your sadness, but you could. You need to remember that your sadness is there with you, like a third wheel. It is like babysitting your little sister on a date. Take your sadness to yoga. Sit with your sadness in meditation. Take it to therapy. Exercise it. Feed it beautiful, nutritious foods. Your guest will appreciate the hospitality. When you're spending time with your sadness, be careful about how you treat yourself and the people in your life. Sadness often invites anger, and anger looks for ways to express itself. If being with your sadness causes you to hurt the people around you and you see it happening, then apologize. If your sadness causes you to hurt yourself, then apologize and forgive yourself. If you treat your sadness with patience, kindness, and compassion, it will eventually leave. When it leaves, say goodbye, thank it for the lessons it taught you, and invite it back again for a shorter visit. Sadness will come and go. You might as well make a comfortable place in your life for it.
Thank you for reading. What is the importance of having patience with sadness? Why is sadness sometimes so difficult to let go of?
Sadness is a difficult emotion. People don't want to be sad. We want to be happy. So when we get sad, we lose patience with ourselves. We let the sadness take us over, and we don't see it as, it can seem much bigger than us. So when we recognize sadness and we accept sadness, then we have a way of working with sadness and a handle into our experience.
You mentioned naming sadness and giving it respect and courage. What does that look like for someone who's experiencing sadness?
It's a step towards accepting the sadness as something other than yourself. when you are feeling sad, you don't give, and if you don't separate yourself from the sadness, then the sadness becomes overwhelming. When you name it, you say, oh, this is sadness. I am Peter. And I see that it's a part of my life, but it's not all of my life. So it just gives me a way to work with it.
Anger seemed to be part of the theme of your chapter. What is it about anger and its possible destructive or counterproductive nature that has to do with sadness and mindfulness around sadness?
Anger is important because sometimes anger is more socially acceptable to show than sadness. We'd rather people see that we're angry than we're sad, and so we might habitually bring up anger when we feel sadness. So instead of dealing with our sadness, we divert our attention and we think up something to be angry at. So it's just as, especially if you're sad, it's important to look out for your anger and see where it's coming from. So sadness, you might not hurt somebody else as much as you will with anger, because anger, you're motivated to do something and become aggressive, and you can cause more problems for yourself.
Have you seen these tools used by people who are experiencing sadness and these tools having an effect on their mood or their state of mind?
I can use them in my own life. When I feel sad, that's the most intimate experience I have with these emotions. Is I recognize, I don't give my sadness a name, but I do recognize my sadness, and I recognize it as an emotion when I feel it, and I don't like it, but I try to look into it, and I try to be with it, and I try to separate it from my circumstances so that my sadness is something that I deal with while I deal with my circumstances. So, if my cat were to die, I can be sad while I prepare a funeral for my cat and bury my cat. But my cat dying is the story, and my sadness is the emotion. So I can work with them both separately.
Well, thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing your next essay.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Strengths-Based Radio. Join us on our website at strengthsbasedradio.org.